Hello. Happy Friday. Good to be back with you guys. I've been not in the office for 2 weeks, but we got a lot to talk about. It looks like we've survived the second correction of 2024. Today's topic, we're not going to go political on it, but I want to look at inflation from a standpoint of what can investors actually do to benefit from it. I mean, a lot of this stuff has happened over the last couple of years. People have been aware of it. Now it's become a big issue this year, but is it really an issue anymore? Inflation came in, or CPI came in, finally under 3% this week. So that's actually a big change. But is that real? I know a lot of people think that it's not. But those are going to be the topic discussion. And as always, symbols that you want to look at. Do a whole update on stocks and Bitcoin. Yeah, we got a lot to catch up on. So stick around through the music, and we'll be right back. All right. What's going on? All right, so I was on vacation last week. The week before, I had to do a quick live stream on the road, which actually worked out pretty good. I felt like I needed to because that was basically the Friday before this blackish, more of kind of like a gray Monday on August the 5th. Yeah, that Friday, the last Friday to stream was on Friday the 2nd, and things were going down, and I wanted people to be looking for opportunity I kind of poo-pooed tech stocks because I just personally want to see tech stocks, any of these high volatility plays, pull back at least half or 60%. You know, one in the case everyone kept asking me about was like Nvidia. Do I buy Nvidia? You know, everybody wants to buy the winner. I like winners. I picked up a good winner myself in this process, Eli Lilly, LLY. We'll look at that here in just a second because that was a great 30-minute setup to begin the trade. Mwah, love it. Got a short-term trade and a long-term ad on it. But, you know, if we just go back a couple of years, you know, back only, you know, an ancient history of 2021, before this huge run up, Nvidia had about a 60, almost a 70% drawdown from its all-time high at that moment. And that was in 2022, whereas this pullback was only about 35%. Look, you're going to get a big pullback in high flying stocks like this. I'm just a little more patient. But it does seem that everything has rebounded, whether it's the S&P 500 or NASDAQ. And that what I always try to get in people's head, if you're going to take one thing away from anything that I'm here to teach, and also I'm a little congested because flew in a plane, and I think that all those COVID vax people gave me a little dose of it on Monday when I flew in. But anyway, so bear with me there. But I'm joking, by the way, kind of. So as far as let me turn that off. What I want people to take away from everything that I try to teach about my experience with the stock market, I've been doing this for many years. That's all I do is manage investments, is to keep people from panicking. Understand that in any given year, there are 2 to 3 corrections. That's on average. So look at stock almanac is somewhere in there. And a correction is basically anywhere from like 5 to 20%. It's a pretty big range. But when people were asking me as this thing was going down, I think a lot of people asked me, should I buy it, you know, late July? Should I buy the market, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, hashtag, this is not financial advice, but I'm just sharing, you know, what I think is really useful. And this is it. I wanted to see something a little more than the 5%. This is the S&P 500 futures. Let's actually look at SPY, which that's what most people are going to trade anyway. That or SPX if you got a bunch of money, or VOO, whatever. But basically, the SPY pulled back in late July about 4.85%. That was not enough of a pullback for me. It doesn't fit that criteria of a correction. Now, we had a correction back in April, which was, you know, on my live stream, I was able to live stream it every week, capture it back here, and the beginning of May, that's where I made my IRA deployments for the year. I mean, it was basically the first pullback of the year. People keep asking me for the first 3-4 months, when are we going to pull back? When are we going to pull back? Finally, you get it, and then on that little second dip, you're able to capture it. The second dip thing is another thing I'm going to talk about here as well. And yeah, but that was a pullback of about 5.86% right there, that range. And then here, when we first got back into the end of July, it was only pulling back 4.85%. Not enough. So I wanted more. And of course, we got that going into Friday. We're getting into that territory. That's in around the 6 or 7%. And of course, Monday, you know, all hell broke loose and everybody was panicking and really looking at some panic that was going on where people were really freaking out. People were thinking that this was a big crash. You really just got to take a step back and take in the news. What are people saying? Everybody's always going to be saying that this is the end of the world. But what was going on was this carry trade that was unwinding. And let me see if I can find that meme real quick. So there was, what it was the Bank of Japan had raised their rates by like 0.25%, which is a big deal because Japan is always debasing, we'll call it, their currency. And so, where's that meme? I need to save these memes. Okay. Jen, can you look up the Seinfeld meme read, it's the carry trade unwinding, if you're not too busy at work. And so the carry trade was what basically a forex principle where you buy one currency and you sell the other, and you benefit from the difference in the interest rate. In other words, you borrow at a lower rate and you sell at a higher rate. I may be mathematically wrong on that, but basically you're capturing that split spread, and you're basically going to earn a small amount every single week on your forex account. And of course, the forex is always very leveraged, and so to get actual returns that people care about, they leverage up, and then when that unwinds, people get stopped out. And so there's a lot of stuff that was kind of in play. It was just kind of like a perfect swarm and a perfect pullback. But was the market really in bad footing? Were earnings horrible? Was there was some talk about problems in the Middle East, but there wasn't anything really going on. There wasn't a major pandemic. There wasn't huge financial collapse of major firms. And so when you take a stock of like the whole market, the whole world, what's going on, and you see a pullback, and you realize, okay, this is an event that there's a reason behind it. We can kind of attribute a little something to it, but nothing's really bad going on right now. That's just a correction, and that's what you got to try to profit off of. And so that Monday, we had that big dip, and then you have this. In every case, I don't like to I don't like to catch the falling knife. Do not like to catch the falling knife, but you almost always get this little second higher low, and that's what you really want to try to grab. That's what I try to grab. I want to see some strength like we had on Wednesday. Actually, I captured a really, really good futures short. This was just perfect. In other words, when the market's coming up, I wanted to short because I like to be contrarian. But this was an absolute perfect hold of a volume profile level. Mwah, love it. It's like a cheat code in the market. Haven't seen very many good opportunities, but this is the one trade I took last week, a little short down, and from this level. It's a perfect hold right here at 53.59 on the S&P 500 futures. Volume profile, basically it's a tool. You can find it on any platform. It basically shows you where a lot of trading has happened. Mwah, that was a nice 50% plus volume profile. Perfect. As I said on the Discord chat, as I traded it live, I had to take it. And that was a good little quick day trade down there. But now, of course, it beat that level. And as you can see, it still tried to hold it, respected it, held it, and then we've just launched off of it straight up. And at this point now, you're virtually guaranteed to get up to the all-time high, and then we'll have to see what happens. May not get another pullback until later on. Yeah, we'll save talking about what elections mean as we get closer to November. There is some things I'm going to look for there, but quick spoiler, quick little hint on it. There might be some kind of a short-term pullback, maybe even the night of, as results are coming in. That will be something to be in front of your computer looking at futures. Maybe there's going to be some volatility opportunities. But by and large, no matter who wins, market go up. That's what you need to presume. So, as always, if you got things to look at, some symbols to look at, make sure that you get them in the chat for the second half, whenever that kind of is. What's up, Zevers 007? Because yeah, there we go. Yeah, this was the whoa, it's too large. Hold on. What have you sent me? So yeah, this was the meme from then. I thought it was pretty funny. Because it really kind of speaks to people. If I have to explain the meme, it speaks to people not really understanding what it is. It's like, what's going on? Like, oh, it's a carry trade, and not many people know what a carry trade is. I got myself, I got myself in a little bit of trouble with a carry trade a long time ago, like 2009, when I first started trading. I first started trading in forex. This was before crypto, and when you first start out, you think it's great that things are open 24 hours a day. It's not necessarily. And actually, I was in a carry trade with the Russian ruble because the Russian ruble had such a high interest rate because nobody wanted to invest in their country, so they had to offer a high interest rate. And I did pretty well for a while, and then I just couldn't stand the amount I had leveraged in there, so I closed that up. But another carry trade that unwound long ago that I remember that I didn't really, I actually benefited from it unwinding. in particular. There's a little bit of back in May, day, old man Norrock speak here, but the Euro Swissy, this is a long time ago. The Euro Swiss franc, they had a peg. A peg is basically where the Bank of Switzerland, Swiss National Bank, had basically said that they're not going to let their currency go. They're not going to let their currency go over 1.2 euro. They were basically saying, because everyone was flocking. It's 2011 when this started. Everyone was putting their money in the Swiss francs because they were more stable, more valuable than the euro. And so the Bank of Switzerland, the Swiss National Bank, said, okay, we're just going to peg it. And eventually, on this little date right here in January of 2015, they took that peg off overnight, and it blew up everyone that was in that trade. And there's another example of carry trade. I happen to be in a cross pair, the CAD Swiss franc, which was a, where is it? Yeah, right here. I happen to be in a trade. I need to go back and look at it while I was in it. But that was a really good trade right there for me in January. I woke up in the morning and looked at my account, and this was still kind of, 15, I was still kind of getting my feet wet. I looked at my P&L as I woke up, and I was like, wow, like, are you sure that's not negative? Because I could understand being down that much for something I did, but being up this much, wow. Okay, that was a first. That was nice. That was a nice change of pace for that. So that's the carry trade unwinding. You can look more into that if you want to. It's not really germane to what I study now, which is price action. So let's do a quick recap, and then we'll start talking about inflation and stuff. So basically, what are we looking for on the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ? Where is this rally going to potentially stop? Well, it's just going, breaking all resistances. I am still looking at it possible. I was thinking maybe we would get some kind of a down move today, Friday, but we didn't. And so now I am looking at potential resistance maybe at about 56.07. I'm not keying keying off of the S&P 500 as much as I am the NASDAQ, because it has once again taken the lead in this. So these are the levels roughly. I'll probably update these as we go in, but based on past price action, where the volume profile levels are, this is what I'm looking at: 56.07 on ES and 56.42. Those are going to be the resistances I look at to see what happens going into next week. But NASDAQ is really what I'm looking at 19,960. That is a much clearer level. That's a level that kind of stands this whole last all-time high price era. That's really the point of control there. If they can get there, hold it, or break it, that's what's going to be interesting. So I think next week in the beginning part, we're definitely going to kind of blow off here, and then we're going to see what happens to this resistance. That's going to be my play going into next week. Bitcoin's just, the bottom line here, if we just look at the weekly, is lower highs and lower lows. And if you go read social media, they're trying to find, they're kind of running out of ways to say that this is okay and this is bullish. I remember before we had this dip 2 weeks ago, the mantra I heard from the Bitcoin maxis was they were looking at on-chain analysis, and it's like a beach ball being held down. It's going to pop up. I've been saying for a while now, really since April. What basically killed this? What basically killed this is what kills any bullish trend, and that is not really solidly breaking above the prior high, and that prior high being the one set back in 2021. And so it's just been fighting, and there just hasn't been enough YOLO abandon to buy into this and push it up to those fabled six figures. And if you think about it, we were at the high here. It was about $74,000 here at the last all-time high. Okay, how far are you away from 100,000? You're about 26,000, and then it came all the way down here to the low at about 49,500, and so now you're a little over 50,000. So you're basically at the low here. You were twice as far away from 100K as you were just a couple months earlier. Where am I looking for this to come back to? It's pretty, I won't say obvious, but it's more kind of one of those irony sort of things that kind of dictates what will probably happen. And that is this whole range right here. The support is going to be at the ETF launch level, about 42 and a half, 42,500. I think there is kind of the most ironic thing to happen. Think considering, just go back and think about all the narratives that were going on in this run up about how, like you're in this roller coaster going up GIF, and all these inflows and all these boomers were going to buy Bitcoin, and then oh, well, I was. By the way, if you want to check out another small, underappreciated but entertaining YouTube that's not memey, Martin Shkreli. I actually catch his YouTubes pretty often. He goes into full fundamental analysis, totally different bag than mine, but a lot of value can be there. Check out his YouTube videos. But he had a good point about Bitcoin and the recent kind of political drama around it, where Trump announced a strategic Bitcoin reserve. I'm not sure what exactly day that was, but that I think he quoted as saying that Bitcoin was up 0.5% that day. I mean, that would sound like bullish news. I mean, if anything, whether Trump wins or not, it is opening the Overton window to the government having a strategic reserve of Bitcoin. But it didn't really matter. It didn't make people more bullish. Now, you could say, well, people don't care, people don't believe him. But I think, and I kind of agree with his take here, that if people that are going to get long Bitcoin are already long and they don't want to get more long, everybody's just sitting here waiting for somebody else to buy it. And good luck. Good luck. But I myself, I'm short. I'm short using BITI. And okay, I'll go ahead and admit it. I actually took, I'm kind of a degen in this regard, but I actually took more puts. I have puts expiring in 2025 on MicroStrategy. I took out two more puts. I took out 50 puts for 2026. And if you didn't know, this week, MicroStrategy had a stock split, trying to, kind of play those, Michael Saylor doing his thing as a unrepentant financial scammer. I wouldn't say that he's a convicted fraudster. He paid a fine back in, I think, the early 2000s for financial fraud, or excuse me, no, accounting fraud. He didn't commit fraud. He paid us like $1.2 million fine to the SEC, and so he's basically just been using financial engineering for over 2 decades now. People love him in Bitcoin because he's using it to buy more Bitcoin, lift their bag. So he's a hero to them, kind of a Robin Hood of weird sorts. But basically, the stock split took it from over $1,000 a share down to 3 digits, kind of to give a little psychological reason for people to buy it, and then they are going to do more share dilutions to buy more Bitcoin. Steel manning, the case here is that when they do share dilutions, they buy more Bitcoin, thus increasing the inherent value of MicroStrategy, based on their balance sheet. But it's all basically a leveraged Bitcoin play on debt. And I think that one of the best trades out there is to be long Bitcoin, actually keeping it physical and stuff like that, and then short MicroStrategy because, I don't believe in karma, but I believe that people do what is in their nature to the point of their own ruin, and I think that eventually he's going to blow up, and that's what I'm betting on. Maybe I'm a little bit of a degen. Maybe I'm trying to impose my opinion too much on the market, but the level that I think we might come back and settle to is about 50. Ultimately, if I'm short Bitcoin, then I need to be betting on a leveraged short as well, which could pay off even more. So fixed risk puts, let's go. All right, so that's the core. And also, I can't really say anything about it just yet, but my favorite crypto, Monero, which everyone ignores because when Moon, this is Monero versus Bitcoin has not made a new high since April yet, but in all of this down move, Ethereum has not been doing well. Ethereum, ETH, BTC, much to the dismay of people that have a lot of stake in Ethereum, has not been doing well versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin, yeah, I mean since April of this year. Let's just give it a low here. It's down about 10%. Not too bad. Not too bad. But Monero, which has become sort of a stable coin of sorts in this bearish times, like it was back in 2022, it is up about 50% versus Bitcoin in this year, since April. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm picking and choosing, but I'm looking at what's going on right now with Bitcoin in a downtrend. Let's face it, it is, and it's basically the same behavior that happened back in 2022 when Bitcoin was in a downtrend and it was going up. Why is Monero surviving? Well, I'll tell you right now, it's the only currency that's accepted on the dark web, which is how Bitcoin got its start. It's been deplatformed on Binance and other exchanges because it can't be traced, which is working as intended. I don't know, and I can't tell you that this thing is going to blow up. But the good thing is, no one will know how rich you are in Monero. So, yeah. What's up, Zishan? Yep, I'm glad to see you here. All right. So I haven't talked about inflation yet. So the reason I wanted to talk about inflation was, I was browsing Reddit like a terminally online person that I am, and I saw this meme, which is very common, especially you might see it on Reddit, which is what a lot of people think, or a lot of people are being told by people of various vested interest, in getting elected by stoking the angers of people. That inflation is all because of corporate greed. Now, is that true? Is that actually true? I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, there's some various takes you can look at, but one of the things that I kind of looked at myself is like let's talk about some of these companies that people are accusing of gouging, price gouging. Okay, so this was this is one thing that I saw come up on Twitter today. So the cost that businesses pay are also going up in addition to what consumers pay, and they're basically just passing that on to customers. If you've worked in a business, or you just kind of have a little bit of economic sense, then you know that if the input cost start costing more, if you're going to keep your business in business, you have to raise your prices. It sucks for your customers, but you have to do it. It's not because people said like, hey, we've got this little narrative that we're going to go on, and we're just going to gouge people, make more money for ourselves. No, maybe there's some evil people out there, but I think by and large, I mean, people are just responding to what's going on. And I took a look at some, some. Here's the idea I had. So if we really started thinking about and talking about inflation back in 2021, that was when it wasn't really apparent yet, but savvy people, like I'm sure most of you guys were able to kind of say like, okay, we're getting into this situation where they're printing lots of stimmy checks, and the money supply is expanding dramatically. We're gonna have some inflation pretty soon, and people were just kind of like, no, let's throw our stimmy checks into Robinhood and play some GME calls. That was a little bit later actually, but essentially what happened. So, but inflation, we can kind of see where people started really getting concerned about it is, the year or two after it, COVID, which was basically August of, 2022. So when, by Google search terms we're using as a metric for, people really becoming aware and caring about it. And so if we look at a few things, a lot of big things come up this week is, grocery prices. Want to do some price fixing on them, but let's look at people that make groceries like Tyson Foods. Okay, how have they really done since August of 2022. So, yes, I know we're just looking at the stock price. That doesn't include, we're not looking at earnings, but we can. We can. But basically, if you're trying to make money, you're trying to make money for your company, you're trying to make money for your shareholders. And Tyson Foods in that amount of time is down almost 20% since people really became aware of it. So they haven't really done that well. Now, did they do well on the run up from COVID? Yes, most stocks did. And what about General Mills? Is another one. They do cereal and lots of things. Another thing, they're down about 4%. Since that time. So in the last 2 years, they haven't done very well. Target retail, it's down about 3% almost, or no, excuse me, 17%. Target has not been doing well. And what are some others? What are some others you guys? If you guys could think of some to look at, give me an idea. So it's not really a resounding conclusion that all these companies are just price gouging and making money off inflation. At least it's not showing up in where the people that would have the most stake, CEOs that are getting paid and stock options, they're getting their salary regardless, but they really want their stock to go up because number one, they'll get fired. Number two, they get to retire with a great package. And so if they're trying to increase the revenue of and earnings of their companies by taking advantage of inflation, they're just not doing that good of a job. Now, I'm cherry picking because there are companies that have done well. And back in 2021, I remember that we're starting to get into this discussion because I was talking on my Discord, talking to other friends and stuff like that. A lot of them were big Bitcoin bulls. You need to buy Bitcoin because that's the hedge against inflation. I remember kind of being the troll that I am because in 2021, this was right here in the big high. When I first started talking about inflation, when I kind of noticed in Bitcoin chats, it was in 2021. Hedge against inflation was the meme for why to buy Bitcoin starting at the beginning of 2021 when, the money printing was really going crazy and stuff like that. And, we had a nice blow off top, but eventually, as the summer kind of drew along, I was trolling people by saying oh yeah, hedge against inflation, you're basically the same. It went up, and then it was just a very popular meme. Now, of course, 4 years later, 3 years later, from that point, Bitcoin is up 50%. Which if you take out all this noise, it is actually a pretty good hedge against inflation, as most people would say. Grocery prices have gone up about 50% in that time. So yeah, hasn't really gangbusters, but if we're just kind of talking about from meme to now, yes, it's been true. Not universally true at every moment, but it's long-term true, yes. But I kind of wanted to get into companies, companies that would make sense, that would benefit from inflation. And the idea that I had going into it, and this was kind of like one of those things where you kind of do cupboard investing. It's where you buy the things in your cupboard or things that you're doing. I had just gotten a smoker. I love smoking meat, and I was spending a lot of money at Costco getting beef brisket and stuff like that. Also buying stuff in bulk. And I figured that's probably what people are going to do to handle inflation. They're going to maybe get a Costco membership and try to take off the effects of inflation on their families by buying in bulk. And every time I went to Costco, it was incredibly full. And so my purchase of 2021 that I'm the most proud about was Costco. And that's a good consistent return right there. It's not 100%, but going back to the beginning of January, that's up 137%. And so, yes, some companies have benefited from it. I don't know if it's, I don't think they're price gouging because as far as I know, Costco tries to sell things at cost and then makes their money off their memberships. Am I wrong with that? Again, I'm just a technical analysis trader. I don't dig into financials and stuff. But, damn. And why I'm sharing this and why I'm making this kind of the topic today is because everyone's getting very wrapped up in, rhetoric. about, oh, we need to do this for inflation. We need to do that. We need to. What does it matter to you what someone's going to promise to do by government? What should matter is how you position yourself. Like, what are you buying? What are you putting your capital into? What are you putting your U.S. dollars into to make them worth more in years to come? Because they're going to be worth less. They're going to be worth less. I mean, inflation is like the sun rising tomorrow. It just is. We just accept it. Prices will rise from year to year. Depends on how old you are. The more you do in this, old man thing where you lament about, prices used to be reasonable. Well, I mean, they were reasonable to you at the time, but they weren't reasonable to, people older than you at the time. They were still complaining about it then. I mean, geez, like, hold on, let me bring up a chart real quick. I actually, because a lot of people, when we talk about like this week, let me bring up the calendar here. So inflation data, or CPI, came in this week, and it was supposed to be 3. They thought it would still be at 3%. This is sort of the one of the inputs for the Fed measuring inflation, and it actually finally broke 3% to go down to 2.9%, and that's the low. Is that the lowest it's been? Well, it's the lowest initial number that it's been since. Well, they revised it back in February, but that's the lowest initial that they've come in since 2021. And so, unpopular take, but the marginally high interest rates that we have are bringing consumer prices down. Now, if I bring this up to people, they start bringing me up charts about the money supply. Oh, don't need that. They start bringing up charts about the money supply being the real measure of inflation. You can't use consumer prices, blah, blah, blah. People seem to be really interested in painting this narrative that everything is just horrible and it's not going to ever be good again. And what's the solution to that? They don't really know. They just want to talk and complain. But I want to focus on trying to be more practical about it. What can we put money into that's going to be worth something 10 years from now? Because the dollar's not going to be worth it. But you also want to have the powder for pullbacks like we had. So that's the whole game of investing. But I think things are probably going to be fine. I think that inflation is coming back, at least for consumer prices. But people are still really pissed that things cost more than they did in recent memory. And so that's why they think that things are worse than they actually are. But as you can see, whether it's Bitcoin or whether it's Costco, whether it's companies that you can kind of determine are going to benefit from inflation. What are some other ideas for things that can benefit from inflation? Well, companies that people are going to people are going to use regardless of how inflated things are. I think healthcare is a great example of that. I mean, it doesn't matter what the prices are going to be. People want to stay alive. The pharmaceutical companies, some have done better than others since COVID. Eli Lilly was one that I was able to pick up on, what day was it? Monday. This was on the big drop. Let's see, spikes. Where's that spike? I think I just picked it up because it was a low down there. And it hit the spike I picked up this week was on lows, excuse me. That's another thing. We'll talk about that in a second. But this is a winning stock that I've had for a very long time. I mean, this is Eli Lilly. It looks like a damn crypto, except it doesn't go down that much. We had this, big pullback here, and it pulled back to a volume profile level, but didn't really stop out at that point. I was able to add to it, and it's about to make an all-time high like the rest of the market, adding to winners. Let's see what else. So this week, Lowe's posted this on Discord whenever it came in. This was another one. Home Depot had earnings, and earnings for Home Depot caused Lowe's, because it's highly correlated, to spike on Tuesday of this week, right at a 50% and volume profile level, and so I was able to pick up some of that. I already own Home Depot, but think about it this way. I mean, inflation is going to affect, lumber. It's going to affect, home. I mean, look, if you go to Home Depot, every like a damn, little fastener, a light switch is like $25 or something like that. But people, if they need a light switch, they're going to pay for it. And so, where are they going to buy it? Well, they might buy it from Amazon, which is another one that, it's not. I mean, inflation. The prices are going to be what they are, and Amazon would be probably the one tech stock that I would say that I would be interested in grabbing. We'll look at this on a monthly right here. It got a good solid close, but yeah, that might have been a good pullback to pick up Amazon as well. So think about inflation not in terms of who's wrong, who's right, but what you can do about it. And that's kind of the message I wanted to share with you guys today. So we're in that last phase of the live stream. Once you put your symbols in the chat, we'll talk about it. We'll look at them and see if there's some opportunities. Yes, Mr. Brownstone, Costco. Costco now, which I just talked about. I still own. I did not pick up any in this pullback because it didn't pull back that much. I may just have to sit here and hold it. I mean, obviously, if we can come back into this realm right here at 46, that's a lot. But let's see. Either the 50% level or this little level from April of this year. I mean, people don't want to accept it because they want to listen to the narratives of politicians or whoever, but we're still very much in a bull market. We just are. That could change, not to get complacent, but it's hard. It's hard to buy stuff in a bull market because I love pullbacks, and rarely in a bull market do you get something as great as Eli Lilly did on that, but that was a good one. But Costco did not hit any alert level that I have set for it. Yeah, TFC was another buy that I picked up off of a. This is a couple weeks ago. This is before the move down. Here's the weekly on it, which is breaking out of the cloud. This is starting a weekly cloud breakout. I was able to pick this up basically back here. Yeah, this was in July actually. I picked that up, and it survived. In other words, it didn't come back to my entry. My entry was a little under 40. It was at 38.28, I think, or 38.10. And yeah, what you want to see in your winners is you want to see them survive something like this, and that's exactly what happened. They survived a pullback, stayed strong, good to go. So yeah. All right, let's look at some symbols people got here in here. So going back to Jen, let's see, AVGO, Broadcom. That was quite a pullback. Hold on. Is this going to be a? Oh, look at that. Look at that. Did you want to just show this off, or Jen, or did you know that this was a magnificent? Good. You averaged up. Good. Did you pick it up on the August 5th? Guys, volume profile is a cheat code. I resisted adding it to my repertoire for months when my friends were using it to find support levels. But you notice, I use 50%. I use false breakouts, my spike indicator, by the way. If you want to just message me. Oh, by the way, stop. I had this really bad thing happen to me. I say me because I take it personally. Somebody impersonated my name a few weeks ago and got some money out of somebody. I do not sell copy trading services. I don't even sell classes now. I keep saying I might, but if anything, just to actually give people an option to, if they want to spend money towards my name, at least it should, go to me so I can give them my value, because they're getting nothing. They're getting nothing from giving. So I will never message you asking for money. Never. Frankly, I don't need to charge people money. I don't want to. I'd rather just I would rather give information for free and not pay taxes on money that comes in, not pay any more taxes than I already do. And so that's why one of the reasons I teach for free. So I don't ask people for money, but people like to, take out my Discord name is just NOROK. There's no period, there's no dash, there's no little number or anything on either side of it. It's just my name. But people are able to tweak that still in Discord and use my little troll doll icon, and unfortunately, they are sometimes successful. So um, I do not ask for money. I will never message you for money. Just I had to say that. So anyway, oh, that makes me mad. That really I hate. I want to do everything I can to keep people from losing money, but sometimes, as I find in other ventures, people do it. Even I make mistakes. I make mistakes, man. Anyway, AVGO volume profile. Wow, cheat code in the market. Great pullback level to that. So, but that's gone, guys. I mean, we may get a third pullback into the end of the year, but like I tried to tell people on Friday 2 weeks ago, be looking for opportunity. People ask, and it's hard. It's very difficult when the market's going down to say, okay, here's an opportunity. You're looking for it every day the market's up, because that's psychologically what you want to benefit from. But when it's down, we go into this, alternate cycle. We're like, oh no, it could go down more. That's why this is so difficult. But you have to force yourself. You have to actually look, what are people saying? Okay, everybody's scared, blood in the streets, get greedy, mixing a bunch of memes there, but now you're either going to have to do the harder thing, which is buy it after it's gone up a bunch, or wait, which is sometimes even harder. So, AVGO and Lululemon. I think Jen was asking me if I was going to look for the Becky index. I mean, to be fair, what did I just say about buying stuff when it's down? I mean, I look at this and it looks gross, but I mean, this is discounts. I mean, one of the things I picked up this year that has looked pretty gross is Pfizer, which is finally, kind of showing some life, but it's at a multi-year low, multi-decade low, basically going all the way back to 2020 and 2013. But yeah, so Lululemon, the Becky index has not been doing well. The Becky index, for those that are uninitiated, is an index of stocks of products that white women buy. And so Lululemon is definitely in the Becky index and probably dragging it down among other things. All right, let's just objectively. I'm just not particularly interested because I don't like. I don't buy all my clothes from Target. I'm not. Although I have some men that tell me that Lululemon clothes are some of the most comfortable that they own. Fair enough. $180. I'll buy it at 180. How about that? Come back to me when it's that far down. How far is it off its all-time high now? The last high it made was in 23. Wow. I would actually be curious to know why it's doing so poorly. I mean, earnings are actually up. Hold on. So reported. No, earnings are actually going down. Okay. Yeah. I don't dig into financials enough to know really. I'd have to really look at that. But wow, that's down a lot. 50% haircut. Yeah, but I just don't see it holding these levels here. In fact, it kind of breached all this level support here. I don't think so. Not really. Not really. Where it's bouncing, the high before COVID. It's not. It broke the high before COVID. That's what I'm saying. You had that floor that it was holding when it went down in 2022, but it just maybe if it recaptures it, we can talk. Yeah. Oh shit, indeed. Yeah. That's not good. This is definitely a value of risk case. All right. Met. So Met was a position that was cut. Oh, not that one. I had to follow my rules on this one because this was we got into this. A lot of us here on Discord, my friends and I. This pullback in 2023, this was like, basically it was hard to buy stuff in 2023 because we're still kind of fresh in our minds with 2022, but there were a couple of good pullbacks there, and so May of 2023, we picked up Met for at $50. It was a 50% level. I think also around that time we picked up another consumer staple. This is again healthcare, good choice. Another 50%. This was in October 2023. On that pullback, Coca-Cola, another 50%. Moi. But the problem with MetLife recently was it did a false breakout here on earnings a couple weeks ago, and you got to respond to that. I hate it. I don't want it to be the case, but now it is. Oof! It's actually pulling back to the Tinkinson, the 9 period median there. That's actually a short. I don't know if I want to do it. Maybe I should because I still own shares. But if you wanted to hedge a bullish market, this is the way to do it. Because if the market does go down, it's going to pull everything. The tide's going to go out. And something that has shown you an individual or secular signal like this. I was just looking at another stock that I had from yesteryear, PGNY. I even made a post about this. This was several years ago, but this did a, it's dying even more now. But this right here was another example of where you have a all-time high hit, many, many weeks and months apart, and it just, on earnings, tries to break a high, can't, closes back inside, and that's basically the freaking end. And you gotta think about this when you're looking at a stock you really like, but it has done something very obviously not bullish, which is failed to make the new all-time high, really confirm it, really close above it. Same thing Bitcoin did. This is just an element of price action that is so consistent that it is just part of my trading repertoire. I mean, I don't put a bunch of moving averages on things. I don't do MACDs, but I look for this. And that's because this is what happens. Another thing in news that I saw, see, Match Group, people aren't dating anymore. Match, this is one I must have talked about in a live stream a long time ago because I still had this up when I went and looked at it. This is another example of a failed all-time high breakout. Oh, like, look at that. And so, look, just take that. Is not what you want to see in a bull trend, whether it's a crypto or it's a stock. Yes, it can sometimes beat it. It can sometimes come back and do a little, nothing's 100%, but damn. It's just, people think it's going to go one way when it snaps back really quickly. By the way, this little indicator that's giving me the highlighting, I made it. It's free. I want people to have it. Maybe I should charge for it because probably some scammer is charging people for it. I don't know, but just message me on Discord. Join the Discord and message me, and I'll send it to you on TradingView. But yeah, now with MetLife, we're here, and it has done once again exactly that. And so you gotta respond to it. You can't just sit back and do. Well, you can do whatever you want, but I had to respond. I had to take some profit, and maybe a put is in order. I have to take a look next week. All right. Intel, really good. Thanks, Jen, by the way. These are all things I want to talk about that I wouldn't have thought of myself. Somebody asked me this week, am I buying Intel? I want to. It came down to a key floor level, all the volume profile levels from 25 years ago, 27, all the way back to 97, are right here around 19 to 20. What I want to see is I want to see this pullback to the Tinkinson right here. Basically, give me what I want to see. It's giving me some life. And then we're going to see if we can pick it up here at the 50% of this little, and keep a stop below the low because you don't want to go any lower than that. And then, we should be able to take it back up to the 50% or this level right here. That's a good risk-reward trade to start a position. And so that's another thing. I'm hoping, like, it's kind of starting to set up in my mind what we'll see next week in the market as a whole by looking at individual stocks. We're going to push up a little bit more early into the week, and then we're going to see a little bit of a pullback, and then hopefully we will go on to test all-time high. And so that's what I'm kind of looking at going into next week and then the weeks further. This week should get a little up, get a little pullback, maybe intra-week towards the end of the week, and then up. But no plan survives contact with the enemy. We'll see what happens. But Intel got my sights on it because it's at a massive discount. It's at a massive discount for a reason, but maybe everyone else is wrong. We'll see. Disney. Disney is still in that valley of risk. It just keeps on failing. We'll see what happens as it comes down to test this low again, because 79.07 is the COVID low. It was a nice bounce off of it to begin with, but we're gonna have to see what happens here. The volume profile level, the point of control is 88.44. It conquered it this week, so maybe we're kind of bottoming out. Let's look at the daily. Again, let's come back and see this next week. Let's see if we can maybe pick this up. Am I bullish on Disney? Not particularly. I'll kind of try to stay neutral. But I mean, it's cheaper than it was back in 21 by a big amount. Hood, Robin Hood, not a fan in principle, but can't deny they're going up. Kind of survived this little pullback here. If you want to buy Robinhood, go for it. I don't really like the platform because as a trader, it doesn't have good charting. Um, Actually, I watched on the plane Dumb Money, that little sort of drama documentary about the GameStop, and I'm reminded of the fact that Robinhood basically colluded with Citadel to stop the whole thing, stop the hedge funds from losing money, even though hedge funds made money on it. Let's not. It wasn't all just Wall Street Bets people that made a little bit of money. The hedge funds made a lot of money off of other hedge funds, by the way. But yeah, I'm just kind of biased. I don't like the company. I don't like what they do as a trader. I'm not really. I have a Robinhood account, which is still up from COVID when I started, but that's because that was what everyone was doing. Objectively, did this pullback matter? Didn't really come back to the point of control, so I don't really see it. Not interested in Hood. Palantir, pour one out for our buddy Amateur. Well, that's good. It just keeps on. Wow, 32. Bullish. Bullish. I mean, it's probably that's a good choice. It's good. Rip Amateur. Ulta, another Becky Index. Ulta Beauty. I think you want. It sounds like you want to get the Becky Index started again. Work on me a little bit there, because I'm just. It's just not something I'm particularly interested in. But I mean, it was a good thing from yesteryear. I don't really see a level that I like that it's at right now. Did it hold this whole? It's not the kind of chart that I want to see. I guess it. Okay, okay, okay. It's messy, but 348.75. We got a little spike here on this week. Was this earnings? I bet it. No, earnings is coming up. Okay, okay, okay. Thank you for forcing me to look at this. See, what I'm looking at here is that it is at a 50% level. It's at a key level of support, resistance turn support, and it has given people a little bit of a shakeout, kind of come up and confirmed it. It's worth looking at next week. Maybe starting up the Becky Index again. All right. What's up, Stone Pilot? Kroger. Actually, I got back to my selling of a couple of days ago with the 45-day, the optimal day to sell options. I sold a covered call against my Kroger, so still in Kroger, selling premium against it. I don't know if we're going to have enough premium to sell in a little bit, like next cycle, but we'll see. But yeah, still on Kroger. Still bullish. I still shop there all the time, selling calls against it, double dipping into the dividends and creating my own synthetic dividends with cover calls. Yes, like Kroger. ACI, is it Albertsons? What ended up happening with that thing? I thought they were going to buy them out, but is this a better deal, you think? Let's see here. Got a request. FTM USDT. I bet that's a crypto. FTM. Let's go on. So we're going to have a key volume profile level here, basically at the bottom, and you're coming up to it right now. Do not let this thing break below 1986.1986. Don't let it break below this floor. I'm kind of wondering why it's so manipulated here at this level, but it's pretty clear that it's coming down to test it. If you're already bag holding, you're going to sit there and watch it. You're not going to take it as a buying opportunity because it's not proven itself to you. But if it breaks below it, that is not a bag that I would want to hold. So, all right, SPLG. All right, we'll look at yours here in a second, Zishan. SPLG. That's. I think we're looking for Simon Property Group, or is it SPDR Portfolio S&P ETF? Which one is that, Jim? We looked at Costco. I like it. Yeah, I got you there. So, can't see your full name, W. I think you're in streamer mode, which is the same thing I'm in too. Yeah, as far as FTM10, what is it? Give me an elevator pitch on why this is the next 500 bagger. What is Phantom? VU has the lowest costs, I believe, right? VU and Chill. Why would I know it's by VU? Oh, it does. Well, it's a race to the bottom for cost, isn't it? I was actually looking at this old 401k that I have, and I realized looking at the fees, the management fees for these mutual funds that they have, that I am paying about at least like 1% per year in fees. And I think I looked at VU. I was like, hold on a second. What is VU? And VU is 0.03. Yeah, it's way cheaper. I think that's what it is. Phantom is a competitor to Ethereum. Okay. How is it going to do Ethereum stuff better? And how's it going to do it better than Solana? What's Solana been doing? Solana's been doing pretty well. Hasn't been really going gangbusters, but it's been doing better than Ethereum. Yeah. Yeah, 0.02. So I'm going to tell you something that you're not going to hear. Oh, actually, let me look at one more thing, and we're going to close it out. I'm going to leave you on this about that. This was one that stopped out, Fortinet, that I must have had on here. Oh, that's a bitch. Look at that. That stop out right there. Oh, that sucks. That sucks. I didn't take this, but I think I probably marked this up for someone asking. Maybe you were asking Zishan a couple weeks ago. But damn it, if having risk controls didn't cause you to miss that. This is the general premise behind false breakouts, though. People get stopped out. You have earnings. Yeah, earnings, man. They sold it off before earnings to stop you out, and then they yeeted it. That just sucks. That just sucks. All right. With an increase in the number of transactions, the Phantom network becomes faster, unlike Solana and Ethereum. Okay. Okay. What are these cryptocurrencies being used for? Like, how do they make people money? And I don't mean in their price going up. How do cryptocurrencies, what is the use case for cryptocurrencies? NFTs, that's an answer. Okay. JPEGs, that's that's an answer. DeFi, okay. I love distributed finance. I love the idea of being your own bank, doing smart contracts, okay? But what are businesses using crypto for right now? I asked this question. It's just kind of a fundamental question because a lot of times when I go and I read Reddit, the cryptocurrency Reddit, I like to read it periodically to catch the sentiment. Oop. And they talk about as if they are wise of history that crypto is like the internet. It is a nascent technology that people know is going to change the world, but they don't know quite how yet. What you need to kind of understand, I was talking to somebody about Ethereum in particular uh, just a few days ago. I had a big stake in Ethereum. Is that Bitcoin was invented in 2009. So it's 15 years old. Ethereum was invented in 2015. It's almost 10 years old. If we presume that Al Gore invented the internet in roughly about 1985, 10 years into the internet, or 15 years into the internet, wherever you want to say, let's call it 1995 and onward, basically the mid to late 90s. People were using the internet to make a website, which is kind of like an NFT. They're basically putting something out there for people to see and interact. So that's done. But also, people were using it to send email. Now, if you send an email rather than a letter, which they used to do back in ancient times, you saved the price of a stamp. You save money. There was a big incentive for people in the mid to late 90s to send emails. Also, instant messaging as opposed to sending expensive, 25 cent per text. Yes, phone companies used to charge a quarter per text message. Imagine that. Or phone call, long distance phone calls. People are saving money using the internet. Um, Amazon was started in the 90s. It was selling stuff online. A lot of e-retailers were online. They were using it. People were using it for online databases. They were using it to promote their companies. They would have company websites, and they would get they'd be able to put their catalog online. There were a lot of use cases that people were starting. We didn't know how much these use cases would be worth. We didn't know um, how far they would go, how they would change the world, and all the other uses. But 10 years into crypto being around, we kind of knew what the value it was going to create. And that's the key thing. The internet, 10 years on, either saved people money, it helped people make more money, or it made business more efficient, and it created more businesses completely out of the internet. We're almost 10 years into Ethereum. We're almost 10 years into the idea of smart contracts. What use cases are generating wealth? Anybody? Zishan Solaris? I'm waiting. Ooh, yeah, look for that too. Close inside the high. Watch out, Zishan. It's got earnings coming up, but yeah. So the point I'm trying to make is that it's not the nascent technology everyone wants to say that it is. Okay. And, if you're doing something better than Ethereum, the question is, what does Ethereum do? What does it do to generate wealth? I know a lot of people want to get into something at a few cents and then it turn into something like Bitcoin, but that's kind of a dream. In order for something to have value, it must create value. Otherwise, it's just doing what Bitcoin is doing, which is absorbing value. It's sucking up the people that are afraid of inflation into a store of value. So even though I've been doing crypto for over a decade, since 2010, um, I've been forced to kind of grow up and realize that what generates wealth is, producing goods and services, things that people use. And there's just nothing going on right now with crypto in that regard. It's all just people hoping someone else will buy this thing that they bought later for a higher price because reasons. Whereas you have companies that produce, medical equipment that that boomers are going to want to use to keep themselves alive. People are going to go to places like Costco to get food that they need to eat. People are going to buy cars that drive themselves, Tesla, or cars that are electric. That they make trucks that are actually pretty good looking trucks, unlike the Cybertruck, Rivian. Companies that make stuff that earn revenue that people buy. This is what creates value. They're all stocks, crypto, they're all abstractions of value. They're what people want to pay. But think about it along those terms. I have to admit, as much as I want to be a rebellious contrarian, old Warren Buffett is right. Stocks are not lottery tickets. And I think a lot of people are looking at crypto as if they're lottery tickets. And this is not a nice thing that you want to hear. But you got to look at what if you find a use case that crypto is starting to use. The thing is this, Amazon, back when it was nascent, and this is the case I used. I'm going to close on this note. When it was nascent means basically brand new and not really fully flushed out. When it was going through the .com bubble, as crypto did. It went all the way. This has had some splits, so don't. The price of $5 is not the same thing, but it had a 95% drawdown. But whether you bought it at the high, or you bought it here, 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 or you bought it at any point in the years where it became apparent that this company was doing something to generate money, you would be quite wealthy. You didn't need to buy it just because it was a few cents and then hope. You needed to buy something that made sense, that it would make money, it would generate value. Not just that people would be interested to buy it later, perhaps reason because it did something better than something else that was really just an abstraction of value. So I'm not really that bullish on crypto right now because it really doesn't do anything. And I'm sorry to say that, but that's just my opinion. And that's what I'm saying to try to help people out. Look at stuff that people are going to want to buy in 10 years. And maybe that's the answer. But the reason I show Amazon here is that you don't have to buy something just because it's cheap. You can buy something as it is apparent and still be fine if it's actually something that matters. So I hope that helps. I know that's not probably what people want to hear if they're holding crypto bags, but crypto needs to turn around and find a use that businesses and people will use to either save money or generate more money. It can't just be something people buy hoping someone will buy it later. That's called a pyramid scheme, and that's all I see right now. So, on that note, I'm going to close it out, and next week, Friday, hope to see you guys again. I will definitely be there. And so, yeah, have a good weekend, everybody. Discord, all the links are below. If you want the spike indicator, the false breakouts, take a look. Always enjoy hanging out with you guys and talking about stuff and trying to help people make money. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.